which is known as sod, which literally means the secrets. And sod, that's where the Kabbalah lies, in that fourth dimension of Jewish thought.
Woo! That there's a mitzvah and a command to wipe out from among all the descendants of esaט, the descendants of amaňek, male and female, young and old. And the Sifri goes on to say, how do we do this today? We remember, which means to remember it verbally, and do not forget it means not to forget it in one's heart. He says the root of this commandment is to implant into our hearts that any enemy that oppresses the Jewish people are considered to be an enemy against God. Once they had the audacity, the chutzpah, to start up with the Jewish people, now the other nations felt that they too had a right to start up with the Jewish people. Therefore, God tells us we should erase their memory, and we should eradicate them from the face of the earth.
This mitzvah from the Torah, one of the 613 commandments, is to remember to erase the nation of Amalek, the memory of them even, not only physically to erase them from the face of the earth. Anything that reminds us about them is mitzvah to dismiss and to erase it from the face of the earth.
It's not written for everyone to understand. It's written in a language, it's almost like a map that you need a key to decode.
Maybe even sicker when they have people writing, I'm sending this mortar in your name. Everyone focus on, completely wipe out any vestige of Amalek. And when you hear that word Amalek, that's not meant for your ears. That's meant for the ears of other Israeli Jews who understand Hebrew and have a grounding in the Bible and the Torah. And that's a code word, that's a dog whistle. It means to genocide.
You kill all men and all women, me'olel ve'ad yonek, even babies who breastfeed. Amazing. Mishor ve'atzeh, all oxes, all goats, camels, donkeys. Don't leave anything, any memory from this filthy nation.
God commands Moses to tell Yoshua that he must annihilate Amalek. And this battle between Amalek, good and evil, goes from generation to generation.
Hashem maintains a war against Amalek from generation to generation. Those are strong words.
Who is this Haman? Haman Agagi. Why Haman almost killed all Jews? King Saul. 2,400 years later, Hitler, the Germans. We have all reason to believe that this is also a descendant of Amalek. We assume that it's the Germans, and it's not only the Germans, it's
most of the European countries.
That's where Amalek is. So that's what the Torah says. If someone is on the way to kill you now or in a year from now, you can kill him even now, a year before. You don't have to wait a minute before. You know this person will kill you. Statistically, that's what it always constantly repeats. So you're allowed to go and attack him first.
In America today, we have white supremacy. In the Torah, we had Amalek. Amalek is seen as the eternal enemy of our people, whose members found strength by making us suffer. Therefore, when the Lord your God grants you safety from all your enemies around you, and the land that the Lord your God is giving to you as a hereditary portion,
You shall blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Do not forget.
Our rabbinic sages parse these sentences and derive two distinct meanings. Blotting out the memory of Amalek is a military command, literally to destroy Amalek. Now, facing today's Amalek, we are reminded that the Torah calls us not just to escape, but to extirpate Amalek. We are commanded to do real and literal battle against it. That means coming off the bench in the fight against white supremacy. It means putting our reputations and our money and our physical bodies on the line.
When I say these people, I'm talking about top Israeli leaders, and I'm talking about average Israeli citizens as well, calling Palestinians Amalek, saying that they should be genocided. Well, so, it's not just left as some, historical or mythological event. That would be bad enough, but it's trotted out every few years, and it's like a roving tag labeled, slapped onto any group of people that becomes the new rival, the new enemy of the Jewish people. So now, the Palestinian people are being called Amalek.
So Amalek, we know Hitler and Haman and all of those other gang of people that wanted to annihilate the Jews are part of this terrible gang. Because Amalek is darkness. They're the antithesis to godliness and holiness. Everything the Jewish nation stands for, if the Jewish nation stands for humility, godliness, light, they are darkness. And we are commanded to destroy this, because Amalek is not only a physical nation, it's a spiritual energy. It's a negative force of darkness. And it's the worst force, because Amalek is that energy that always wants to bring down, it's let's. Let's means silliness. Amalek is that energy that wants to make us cold, wants to make us say, how do you know, who knows, maybe it's not true. And This is the worst type of people that we have to disassociate ourselves with. We, human beings, have been put down on this world for a purpose. There is a God, there is a creator, and we are his chosen nation. We are the people that will bring the world to its fruition and make the world a Garden of Eden again.
There are a lot of Jews who, I'd rather not use the word eliminated, but have been totally assimilated to the Amalek type of lifestyle that they're almost gone. So if you don't defeat him, if you don't wage a war against him, you don't remind yourself of that, of what he represents, you chas v'shalom have the chance of being assimilated.
So we have a rule, when the minority get mixed with the majority, it get cancelled like it was never existed. Hashem said to King Shaul, now it's time to destroy Amalek. Don't leave one survivor. Destroy the entire nation of Amalek with their animals, everything that is owned by them, no Jews allowed to enjoy from it. Do not leave any memory from them.
Not only do you have to destroy him whenever you can, you may not always have the chance to destroy him physically, wage war against him. You're not always in control. You live in Galut, in the diaspora. Can you do it? Okay, this is an Amalek. I'm going to get rid of him. You're going to go to jail. You can't do it. So how do you do it? Zachor ve'al tishkach. There are times that the way to eliminate him is to remind yourself. Remind yourself in two ways. By saying it, Zachor, verbally, talk about it, read about it. This will remind you, and not to forget.
But it's already becoming a serious argument, because it's human rights, is how can we be so cruel? Let's wait until the danger is really, really physical. What makes you think maybe they'll die naturally, maybe they won't attack us? There's a lot of question marks here. I agree. But the point is right here that Hashem say, do not have mercy on the children. Kill all their children also. Why? There's no difference between them and their children. In 10 years from now, these children will attack you on the way. Hashem knows, God knows.
It asks of us to exterminate, to kill men, women, and children. What is good and what is evil? And I've explained that in the past, that good is not necessarily what we think is good, because that's something that is not very objective. It is very subjective what good is. What may be good to me may not be good to you. The ultimate good is that which brings about the fulfillment of God's will in this world. That which brings us closer to our mission. And therefore evil, or kohot hara, is anything that detracts from our mission, anything that moves us away, or anything that is opposed to doing the will of Hashem.
If you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land, those whom you leave will become pins in your eyes. You have to drive them all out if they're not Jewish. And you have in the Times of Israel, published by Seth Klarman, you have an op-ed piece saying, when genocide is permissible. That was the title of the blog. Now, admittedly, there was such a furor over this that they immediately, within a few hours, removed that, saying the only way to achieve Israel's goal of sustaining quiet is through genocide. They did remove that. But they left an article that was published the exact same day that called for the exact same thing. Another article that said, go and utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, fight against them until they are exterminated. That article was left up on the site because it used only coded language, so you wouldn't know that they were calling for genocide. This is openly published in the Israeli discourse. Where are you?
But the way the dialogue is, it doesn't read like a newspaper. It's very encoded in order that people don't get the details, the dangerous details of creation. Because the Kabbalah can be dangerous for you, it can be dangerous for others. It includes all kinds of stuff that not everybody should know. You have to be ready to know this stuff. You have to be spiritually prepared for it. There's a lot of criteria involved with knowing this kind of info.
Real evil cannot take it when there's a presence of good. That's just the nature of evil. Real evil, concentrated evil. People remember are mixtures of everything. But the real evil will not tolerate the Torah, the philosophy, the teachings of good. There's a lot of people who come to terms with certain situation. Okay, it's not the same as it was 1,000 years ago. The Romans are no longer around. This is not Germany. This is not Poland of back then. This is not the same Russian. This is not the same Egyptians, right? There are people who will always look back and say, well, let's just make peace with them. Let's befriend them. They're more civilized today, right? Haven't you heard these things? No. Torah says, no. Al tishkach, don't come to terms with, don't let your heart be appeased. And complacent, actually, I should say, with Amalek. It's not some good and some bad. Okay, I'll think about it. This time I'll let you go. No, this is the concentration of evil, the greatest evil, the arch enemy of the Jew. What difference does it make if it's a baby or if it's an adult? It's the same thing. This baby will eventually be an adult, and this baby will eventually try to harm you. Do it to him before he does it to you. And you better do it, because he is your enemy. sworn enemy. So because he's your sworn enemy, guess what? He has to be to you a sworn enemy too.
Even if you do the mitzvah out of coldness, still do the mitzvah. Step 2, destroy Amalek. Now, do the mitzvah with warmth, with excitement. When you begin to do the mitzvah with excitement, then you have the third aspect, the third mitzvah, which is to build the holy temple.
Now, what about the ruling Likud party and their affiliated youth group, Beitar? Well, this year, do you know how they celebrated Holocaust Remembrance Day? Yom HaShoah? How they remembered the Holocaust? When they should have been remembering never again a genocide. What did they do? They protested at the German embassy in Tel Aviv and said, remember what Amalek did to you. We will build a Jewish state that has no need for European morality. On the day that we should be saying never again to a genocide, he's calling for a genocide. Remember what Amalek did to you. That's y'all. Now the Germans are Amalek, and now the Germans deserve to be genocided. This is the leader of the official youth group affiliated with the ruling party in Israel, with the Likud party. Why don't you know about this?
Through this mitzvah of Mechiyat Amalek, of eliminating Amalek, or erasing his name, Hashem wants us to remember that the best way to love what Hashem loves is to hate what Hashem hates. If you hate what Hashem hates, you will come to love what Hashem loves. That's the way the system works. In order to truly love what Hashem loves, you have to hate what He truly hates. And Hashem hates Amalek.
By being bearers of history, we can help guide the future. Blotting out Amalek need not merely be about military conquest. Equally important is ideological victory.
Maybe you shouldn't tell anybody that I said this, but you know all those tropes about Jews controlling the world, or at least wanting to control the world? They're actually true.